Alright, I'm going to switch gears kind of drastically again and talk about percents. Now, percents is a word that means per 100. So the per is right there staring us in the face, and then the 100 is cents, like a century has 100 years, or there are 100 cents in a dollar. That's just a Latin root for 100. So a percent means per 100. Now what that means is if I have 32%, that's saying I have 32 per 100, which is actually saying I have the fraction 32 over 100. So in other words, percents are a way of expressing fractions over 100 using this symbol instead of the fraction form. It's like math shorthand. We have a lot of that in math. So it's just a fraction, and that's why we're talking about it in a fraction and decimal movie. It's a movie, I decided. So anyways, if we want to convert a percent to a decimal, we're going to follow the same process we follow for converting a fraction to a decimal, because a percent is a fraction. And so to convert a fraction to a decimal, we take the top number divided by the bottom number. Now if you do that in this case, you're going to get 0.32. And this is why, because, you know, it's 32 and now it's 0.32 and everyone wants to talk about it in terms of moving decimals, but decimals don't actually move. That's an illusion. What we're always doing if a decimal shifts is we're multiplying by a power of 10 or we're dividing by a power of 10. That's all that's happening. So it has the illusion that the decimal moved twice, but what we really did was divide by 100. Now, let's say we're dealing with 3%, and this is where students start falling apart on me, because they want to memorize how many decimal places to move it. They know it needs to turn into a decimal. So then the big question is it 0.3? Is it 0.03? Is it 0.00? I mean, it really, that's like, and then they just start guessing at how many decimal places it needs to fall in. There's no need to guess. If you're unsure, if you're debating with yourself when being tested, which is when we all get stressed out and start debating about the meaning of life, we're taking 3 divided by 100. Plug that into your calculator. It will spit it out for you, 0.03. Now it may spit it out for you as a fraction if you have one of those calculators, in which case then you need to convert it to a decimal. But I have always been someone that has trouble keeping my left and right straight, and so keeping this straight is hard when you just got this rule memorized and you're not sure why the rule is what it is. But if you think about it in terms of division by 100, that'll save your life when you're having some existential debate about it during a test. Now let's say we have 0.578. This is not a percent. There's no percent sign here. Well, if I write it, there'll be a percent sign here, but it's not there. This is just a regular raw number. And then let's say we need to convert it to a percent. That's our goal here. And again, this is where students start debating, do I move it to the left 2 places, to the right 2 places, up 2 places? No, there's never an up. But it can get challenging when it's just about memorizing right and left and not what's going on. But if you think about it in terms of a fraction, so this one does not have a denominator of 100 because it's not a percent. It's just a regular old number. Regular old numbers have a denominator of 1. Now I want to make that denominator 100 in order to get it to be a per 100. So I'm going to multiply the bottom by 100, and we saw earlier that I can do that with a fraction so long as I also multiply the top by 100. Now multiplying 1 by 100 is just going to give me 100 on the bottom. That I can do. And then multiplying that 0.578 by 100, well, if you plug that into your calculator, you're going to get 57.8, and that over 100, if I wanted to use my math shorthand percent sign, is just 57.8%. Again, I'm not suggesting that you would actually go through this work every time you're converting a raw number to a percent. I'm saying that if you're having trouble remembering which way something works, that you can use the actual definition of what a percent is to get you there, to debate with yourself mathematically instead of just guessing in a dark closet. A dark and cold closet. So the general trick rule is that if you're going from a percent to a decimal, you move the decimal place to the left 2 places. If you're going from a decimal to a percent, you move the decimal to the right 2 places. Just be careful with that, because some days I know my left and right and some days I don't, and I think I actually said that correctly. So good on me.